Chapter 8. The Hungry Tiger. We're off to a good start. The first thing Dorothy did was to rush into the embrace of the Scarecrow, whose painted face beamed with delight as he pressed her form to his straw-padded bosom. Then the Tin Woodman embraced her very gently, for he knew his tin arms might hurt her if he squeezed too roughly. These greetings having been exchanged, Dorothy took the key to Tick-Tock from her pocket and wound up the machine man's action so he could bow properly when introduced to the rest of the company. While doing this, she told them of how useful Tick-Tock had been to her, and both the Scarecrow and the Tin Woodman shook hands with the machine once more and thanked him for protecting their friend. Then Dorothy asked, "Where's Billina?"
"I don't know,"
said the Scarecrow.
"Who is Billina?"
Which is a good question because he has not been introduced. And I've kind of also been wondering what happened to Billina. My assumption was that our author just completely forgot about the character, but it appears he did not. "Well, she is a yellow hen who is another friend of mine," answered the girl, anxiously. "I wonder what has become of her." "She's in the chicken house in the backyard," said the princess. "My dressing room is no place for hens." "Oh, is this the other princess?" "She's in the chicken house in the backyard," said the princess. "My drawing room is no place for hens." Without waiting to hear more, Dorothy ran to get Billina, and just outside the door came the Cowardly Lion, still hitched to the chariot beside the Great Tiger. The Cowardly Lion, the Great Tiger, and the Cowardly Lion. Could we rename him the Brave Lion? No. He's forever known as the Cowardly Lion. No first name, no last name. The Cowardly Lion had a big bow of blue ribbon fastened to the long hair between his ears, and the tiger wore a bow of red ribbon on his tail, just in front of the bushy end. In an instant, Dorothy was hugging the huge lion joyfully. "Well, I'm so glad to see you again," she cried. "I'm also glad to see you, Dorothy," said the lion. "Maybe we've had some fine adventures together, haven't we?" "Well, yes, indeed," she replied. "How are you?" "As cowardly as ever." What? Said the beast in a meek voice. "Every little thing scares me and makes my heart beat fast. But let me introduce you to a new friend of mine, the Hungry Tiger." The Hungry Tiger. "Oh, are you hungry?" she asked, turning to the other beast, who was just then yawning so widely that he displayed 2 rows of terrible teeth and a mouth big enough to startle anyone. "Dreadfully hungry," answered the tiger, snapping his jaws together with a fierce click. "Well, then why don't you eat something?" she asked. "It's no use," said the tiger sadly. "I've tried that, but I always get hungry again." "Why, it is the same with me," said Dorothy. "Yet I keep on eating." "But you eat harmless things, so it doesn't matter," replied the tiger. "For my part, I'm a savage beast, and I have an appetite of all sorts of poor little living creatures, from a chipmunk to fat babies." "What? How dreadful," said Dorothy. "Isn't it, though?" returned the Hungry Tiger, licking his lips with his red tongue. "Fat babies, don't they sound delicious?" "No, not at all. But I've never eaten any because my conscience tells me it is wrong. If I had no conscience, I would probably eat babies and then get hungry again, which would mean that I had sacrificed the poor babies for nothing." "Well, technically, you still ate. I mean, I'm not defending the baby eating at all. To be clear, the official position of the Wonderful Lizard podcast is don't eat babies." "No. Hungry I was born, and hungry I shall die. But I'll not have any cruel deeds on my conscience to be sorry for." "I think you are a very good tiger," said Dorothy, patting the huge head of the beast. "In that you are mistaken," was the reply. "I'm a good beast, perhaps, but a disgracefully bad tiger. For it is in the nature of tigers to be cruel and ferocious, and in refusing to eat harmless living creatures, I'm acting as a no-good tiger. I'm acting as no good tiger has ever before acted. That is why I left the forest and joined my friend, the Cowardly Lion." "But the lion is not really cowardly," said Dorothy. "I have seen him act as bravely as can be." "All a mistake, my dear," protested the lion gravely. "To those I may have seemed brave at times, but I have never been in any danger that I was not afraid." "Nor I," said Dorothy truthfully. "But I must go and set free Billina, and then I will see you again." She ran around to the backyard of the palace and soon found the chicken house.
being guided to it by a loud clacking and crowing and distracting hubbub of sounds such that chickens make when they are excited. Something seemed to be wrong in the chicken house, and when Dorothy looked through the slats in the doors, she saw a group of hens and roosters huddled in one corner and watching what appeared to be a whirling ball of feathers. It bounded here and there about that chicken house, and at first Dorothy could not tell what it was, while the screeching of chickens nearly deafened her. But suddenly, a bunch of feathers stopped whirling, and then, to her amazement, the girl saw Billina crouching upon the prostrate form of a speckled rooster. For an instant they both remained motionless, and then the yellow hen shook her wings to settle her feathers and walked toward the door with a strut of proud defiance and a cluck of victory, while the speckled rooster limped away to the group of other chickens, trailing his crumpled plumage in the dust as he went. "Why, Billina," cried Dorothy in a shocked voice, "have you been fighting?"
"What? I really think I have," retorted Billina. "Do you think that I'd let a speckled villain of a rooster lord it over me and claim to run this chicken house? As long as I'm able to peck and scratch. Not if my name is Bill."
"It isn't Bill, it's Billina."
Well, okay, Dorothy, it is Bill. You just call her Billina, so that's on you.
You're talking slang, which is very undignified," said Dorothy reprovingly. "Oh, come here, Billina, and I'll let you out, for Ozma of Oz is here, and has set us free." So the yellow hen came to the door with Dorothy, a new character named Dorothy, who is much more intelligent. No, Dorothy unlatched for her the door to pass through, and the other chickens silently watched them from their corner without offering to approach nearer. The girl lifted her friends in her arms and exclaimed, "Oh, Billina, how dreadful you look! You've lost a lot of feathers, and one of your eyes is nearly pecked out, and your comb is bleeding."
"What? Well, that's nothing," said Billina. "Just look at that speckled rooster. Didn't I do him up brown?"
Dorothy shook her head. "I don't approve of this at all," she said, carrying Billina away toward the palace. "It isn't good for you to associate with those common chickens."
The common chickens, yes. Good advice. Let's discriminate against chickens, even. Oh, my.
"They would soon spoil your good manners, and you wouldn't be respectable anymore."
"What? I didn't associate with them," replied Billina. "It is that cross old princess who is to blame. I was raised in the United States, and I won't allow any one-horse chicken in the land of Ev to run me over and put on airs as long as I can lift a claw in self-defense."
Well, there you go. There's nothing more American than a hen bearing arms.
I don't know what's going on. Well, very well, Belinda.
No, Dorothy, that's not good. Let's befriend all the chickens, said Dorothy.
"We won't talk about it any more."
Good. Thanks. That's good. Let's move along. So soon they came to the Cowardly Lion and the Hungry Tiger, to whom the girl introduced the yellow hen.
"Glad to meet any friend of Dorothy's,"
said the lion politely.
"To judge by your appearance, you are not a coward, as am I."
"Your present appearance makes my mouth water," said the tiger, looking at Billina greedily. "How good you would taste if only I could crunch you between my jaws." Okay, there are some things, sometimes, we have thoughts, and they're best kept in our head and not spoken out loud. We can look and say, hey, interesting thought. I'm going to let it pass, right? And think about maybe something else now. But don't worry. You would only appease my appetite for a moment, so it isn't worthwhile to eat you. Again, it's not putting me at ease the way he probably thinks it is.
"What? Thank you,"
said the hen, nestling closer in Dorothy's arms. "Besides, it wouldn't be right," continued the tiger, looking steadily at Billina and clicking his jaws together. "Well, of course not," cried Dorothy hastily. "Billina is my friend, and you must never eat her under any circumstances." Again, if I can interject here, the official position of the Wonderful Lizard podcast is don't eat people don't eat anyone, even if they are not your friend, right? Like, let's take that little grain of wisdom and don't eat your friends and expand it. Don't eat anyone. Okay, glad that's out of the way, and I'm glad we realized that. Okay, moving along. "I'll try to remember that," said the tiger, "but I'm a little absent-minded at times." Yeah, let's make this
as bold a proclamation as we can. Get a tattoo, don't eat your friends. I don't know. I'm at a loss. Then Dorothy carried her pet into the drawing room of the palace, where Tick-Tock, being invited to do so by Ozma, had seated himself in between the Scarecrow and the Tin Woodman. Opposite to them sat Ozma herself and the Princess Lingwilder, and beside them there was a vacant chair for Dorothy. Around this important group was ranged the army of Oz, and Dorothy looked at the handsome uniforms of the 27, and she said, "Why, they all seem to be officers."
They are, all except one,
said the Tin Woodman. "I have, in my army, 8 generals and 6 colonels, 7 majors and 5 captains, besides 1 private for them to command. I would like to promote the private, but I believe that no private should ever be in public life, and I've also noticed that officers usually fight better and are more reliable than the common soldiers. Besides, the officers are more important-looking, and they lend dignity to our army."
I'm trying to think of any instance in these books where any of the advice given by the characters should be taken, and I'm coming up at a loss.
"No doubt you are right," said Dorothy, seating herself beside Ozma.
A very Dorothy thing to say.
"And now," announced the girlish ruler of Oz, "we hold a solemn conference to decide the best manner of liberating the royal family of this fair land of Ev from their long imprisonment."
If I'm understanding correctly, they're starting a war, and then it would appear that, Cowardly Lion, not any more courageous than before. We are neither in Kansas nor Australia. So, again, we're lost in the lands of Oz. No slippers this time. No shoes this time. So we're back where we began. Dorothy, lost in a foreign country. And we all really need some life lessons. Oh well.